Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another trading session. I hope you're doing fine. I hope that yesterday's price action didn't make you any harm. Yesterday's price action took the buy side liquidity that I expected and that I announced previously here on yesterday's stream. And after it, we took some kind of a market maker sell model to the downside, reaching for London low and seeking now Friday's low as well. So today's action, there will be no news. We had some news at 8:30, right at the 8:30 open. So right now price took Asia low, is taking London lows as well, and eventually price will dig to the downside, trying to reach for this shaded area, which is the NWOG, and as well for Friday's low, since we have some sell side liquidity, as I can show you right here. See, so if we look at the higher time frames, you can see that there is a market maker sell model here in action, and eventually we will grab Friday's low and try to reach for this NWOG. So right now I'm bearish, but I would like to see some kind of a bullish reaction as soon as we hit Friday's low and touch the NWOG. So the plan for today's action should be something like waiting for 9:50 to 10 a.m. and see if price is there already. I would like to see price coming down and hitting Friday's low in between 9:50 to 10. That way we could eventually cook some type of a retrace to the upside at that time. So I will probably not engage with this movement to the downside. 15 handles, yeah, I will wait for the 9:50 to 10 macro to see if price wants to eventually retrace to the upside, or we will still go down to the downside, rejecting this NWOG as well. So that's the plan for today's action. I will wait for something inside a macro hour to happen. I would like to see some kind of, yeah, this is what I would like to see. So a clean move to the downside, taking out Friday's low, and then eventually in between 9:50 to 10:10, some bullish structure to form and to grab all this liquidity that is staying and resting above these highs. And we could eventually go for event horizon or the 15-minute fair value gap here, this bearish one. We also have a order block on the 1 hour at this point here, this region. And right now price is trying to work the daily order block that price is facing and holding until now. It's a daily bullish order block. So this is what I would like to see on price. Displacement to the downside, taking out Friday's low, and then eventually take a reversal here. But for that to happen, we will have to wait and see what happens at precisely between 9:50 to 10:10. So this is my main plan. I hope you guys understood the way I'm approaching the market, and I hope that you guys take some out of it, honestly, because if if everybody if everybody takes out something from these streams, yeah, that's a win-win situation. So it would be great. So I will ask for your bias here. I will just um, what is your bias for today's price action? So is it bearish, bullish, or eventually neutral? So I'm starting to pull for you guys that are watching. Just let me know what you guys think of today's price action. Meanwhile, we had the 9:30 openers already, so I will mark the 9:30 open. Let me just, yeah. So 9:30 open was right here. So we will wait for the first presented fair value gap to form as well. We'll give the market some time and let price do its own thing. So in terms of sell side liquidity, I really would like to see price coming down a bit before heading to the upwards. I still think that we have some measure of sell side liquidity right at these lows here. As you can see, these lows are the lows from the 1st of May. So I would like to see price trying to take those lows first, and then eventually come to the upside, trying to take these relative equal low highs here, which I will mark as buy side liquidity in form of relative equal highs. So this would be eventually some kind of a low hanging fruit for those who are trying to long the market. But yeah, price just took the 750 low. It reacted quite good at the daily order block that we marked here. And now we have, let me just check. Yeah, and now we have the first presented fair value gap here. So I will see if this one stays open or if it's respected or not. Price right now trying to get above 8:30 open. So I'm actually curious to see if price really does something like this. It can eventually take out these intermediate term lows and then seek for downside once again. But I will wait for it to develop instead of trying to speculate. So this would be the low of this 4-hour candle. So this would be eventually sell side in the form of the 4-hour candle low. And we also will have some kind of a, yeah, this is the high of this 4-hour candle. Yeah, quite a nice reaction from price here. right at the opening. Price is just going to the upside, not giving us anything to work with. Only green candles. The first presented fair value gap stayed open. So let me just push this to the upside. At this point, this candle right here is also a bullish breaker. So if price really wants to come to the upside, I would like to see a retrace to this bullish breaker here, but price is really digging violently to the upside, grinding higher. I will also mark the OTE levels here just to measure how much price can eventually retrace. So OTE levels, yeah, this would be the equilibrium where price would eventually come back and then take another shot to the upside. So these intermediate term lows are already taken. Price stopped right now at these intermediate term lows, the highs, I mean. Let me just do some projections as well. So this would be the last. Yeah, we have some confluence here. Look at the -4, which would give us London highs. And eventually -2 would give us the high of the 4-hour candle and these relative equal highs as well. So if this bullish structure holds, eventually we can see something like this: a run to the upside, taking -2 standard deviation as these relative equal highs, and eventually -4 standard deviation as the London high and midnight open as well. So 8:30, holding the price. We are disrespecting or trying to disrespect a bearish order block here, which is the 15-minute order block. So price did not the retrace that I would like to see. So there is no point in trying to engage with it. Pushing higher here. So let's see if it really comes here, taking out buy side liquidity, and we can eventually formulate some kind of a plan B because my plan A was that price would come down, taking out Friday's low, but eventually we can do some kind of a vice versa, which is taking out these highs and then eventually invert and get some kind of a bearish movement to the downside. Because I believe that we still have Friday's low to take. Yeah, right now I didn't had any chance to interact with price. Price stopped right at the bearish order block, the 1 hour bearish order block. And Q and ES are doing a similar job here. So there's no big differences in between the price action of ES and NQ. So no SMTs or whatever. They are doing a similar job here. So at this point, I will still wait. We still have 10 minutes before the 950 macro. I want to see something clear, not a run to the upside without giving us a significant retrace to be able to interact with. So this is just a push to the upside. Just check the 3 minutes. The 3 minute chart. So this is the big fair value gap that stayed open. Yeah, we are facing order block territory on the 3 minutes. We'll just check the 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, let's see if price really wants to take some measure of a retrace. Yeah, it would be acceptable for price to reach for the first presented fair value gap or eventually for the breaker. Price respected the 1 hour bearish order block here. Price kind of stopped the rally to the upside here. So right now it is time to stay alert because we will enter the 950 macro, and eventually we want to see if price really wants to come down here to retest the breaker. In the 3 minute, we can eventually consider this area a breaker too. Harsh retrace to the downside, to the breaker as we were expecting it. So right now I would like to see how price will react here. This was quite a harsh retrace on price. I was not expecting it in such a violent way. So price rejecting the bearish order block here. We are entering the macro hour. Price still above the breaker and above the first presented fair value gap as well. So touching once again the breaker and the first presented fair value gap. Leaving the fair value gap, a bearish one, to the downside, a bearish fair value gap. It will leave this fair value gap behind. So let's see if the bullish narrative is still on, or if we will seek for the plan B, which is taking Friday's low here. So price is now touching the bottom of the first presented fair value gap and the 0.62 on the OTE levels of retracement, but not holding, as you can see. Wicks doing a lot of damage. Price really trying to get below those OTE levels. Wicks doing a lot of damage here, as you can see. Price willing to stay inside the first presented fair value gap. Another attempt to the downside here. Price is pushing lower. and now completely disrespecting the OT level. So the bullish scenario here is kind of invalidated, continuation to the upside. So at this point, Friday's low, as we were expecting at the beginning of the stream, are the next drawn liquidity. So making a new low here, this candle. The price is really not giving any chance to interact with it. As you can see here, it will be a fast move to the downside, and I'm curious to see if, as soon as we take Friday's low, if we will once again displace to the upside, taking the rest of the highs that were left behind. So I will probably not engage with the movement to the downside, as I said in the beginning of the stream. I will probably wait for something to happen here down below. Price is kind of heavy. We'll see how price is leaving all these fair value gaps opened. So this can eventually be some kind of a enticing movement for sellers to start their short positions here. So that's why I'm just observing right now. So this is the new low. We will probably do a lower one. Let me just check these OT levels here. See if we get some confluences to the downside. If price really wants to dig lower. Yeah, we did a nice rejection here on the 15-minute as well. So the macro just gave us this reversal, but honestly, there's no chance to interact with it. We had no chance here. I'll take this one out. These PD arrays got invalidated or inverted. So price is continuing to the downside. Not able to reach any of these PD arrays or some kind of a retrace. And now it kind of stopped down here. Price reaching for this fair value gap, displacing to the upside. It came right at 9:30 open. So now let's see if it gets rejected or eventually price starts to climb to the upside. I believe that we still have Friday's low here to take before heading to the upside. But sometimes we can be surprised with these type of movements. So far, the fair value gap is being rejected. Not an easy opening bell, I would say. At this point, we have some kind of a bearish breaker as well on the 1 minute, since price came to the upside, took these highs, and then displaced down, taking these lows. So this last candle here should work as a bearish order block, as a bearish breaker. But I want to pay a little bit more time just to see what it really wants to do. So far, price respected the upper band of the fair value gap, of the bearish fair value gap, was not able to close above it. Wicks did some damage here, but the bearishness got respected. And price is now delivering once again to the downside. So this is now sell side liquidity as the previous 4-hour candle low. Let me just check what's happening with NQ. If NQ is able to take out that liquidity, it is. Yeah, NQ just took these lows here. ES not. So I'm curious to see if price really comes above this fair value gap and starts to invert this. We might have another run to the upside. So this right here is an SMT. So yeah, this one got inverted. Nice push to the upside. Let's see if we can invert the first presented fair value gap, or if price really wants to come lower as soon as it hits the first presented fair value gap. The price is still struggling here, trying to invert this fair value gap. But I guess we are still holding. So this could be eventually some kind of a first position here. Yeah, I'll take the chance here since we have some kind of an SMT. Right now, I would like to see price to hold at 930, and then eventually do a run to the upside, inverting the first presented fair value gap and the breaker. Would like to see price use this breaker as a support. There we go. Price is struggling a bit here to deliver some action above the first presented for value gap, but I will give it some more time. Price is still trying to get above it. Not an easy task, but we will give it some time and some space. It is permissible for price to come back to this order block and eventually to the inverted fair value gap, but I would like to see some kind of a displacement to the upside, price eventually gaining some speed. So there we go. We are retesting once again the order block, the inverted fair value gap as well. So these are two things that are permissible. We have a third one, which is retesting this fair value gap here, the bullish one. If I am right, once again, the fact that waiting for 950 to 1010 can eventually give us a clearer perspective on what price wants to do. I took this long because I was expecting Friday low here from ES, but as soon as I look into NQ, I saw that NQ had already reached Friday's low, so I could not still demand that from ES. I had to accept that probably we wouldn't be going lower, trying to go for Friday's low. So right now, as I was expecting, and I was trying to see some speed above the first presented fair value gap. So these highs here could eventually be a nice point to take some partials. Here, 830 and the 15-minute order block, the bearish one, could eventually be another place to take partials. I will not take them here because it doesn't reach a 1 hour. I mean, I think I will probably wait for these highs to be taken for some kind of partials. But yeah, so far everything is happening as expected. No surprises now. until now, I mean. So as soon as price reaches these highs, I will take the partials that should be taken. So I will leave about 20% as a runner. $8.30 open acting as resistance as usual, but I'm expecting a clear run to the upside. There is not much of a resistance here in this leg to the downside. It was quite violent and quite fast, so it left a lot of fair value gaps opened, as I was telling you. So I'm expecting it to be a clear road to the upside, not facing many congestions here. Yeah, price delivering very well to the upside. Since price is stalling here a bit, and since we are just 3 handles away from partials, I think I will get those here. There we go. And at this point, there is no need for having an open stop loss. I will just put myself to break even and wait for price to continue its way. I will probably go for these relative equal highs here as buy side liquidity. Doing another retest to 830 to see if it holds a support. It will probably hold. I'm not expecting a retrace down to a region below the first presented fair value gap. That's why I put my stop at break even already. So right now there's nothing that we can do. We still have to wait for price to develop. And explaining once again my thought of my thought process. Uh, I was expecting price to come for Friday's low. So initially, I was kind of bearish, but expecting higher prices since we left uh, London highs and Asia highs, and we left those relative equal highs behind as well. Right at the open price, just did a massive run to the upside, taking intermediate term highs. Then it displaces once again to the downside, and as soon as it did, right before 950, I knew that this run was quite suspicious because we left a lot of fair value gaps opened, and eventually this run to the downside was some kind of um, an entice people to go on shorts. I was expecting Friday's low, but price didn't reach for Friday's low. But looking at NQ, as soon as NQ reached it, and then we started to invert this fair value gap here, I knew that we were in front of an SMT, in front of a SMT, and we would eventually deliver price to the upside, reaching for buy side liquidity and relative equal highs. So this price started to retrace to this inverted fair value gap. I just entered the position here, waited for the displacement here above the first presented fair value gap, which I knew that was the hardest one. And then I'm just waiting for price to come to this buy side liquidity as relative equal highs. There are two things now that I can do. I can fully close the position here, or I can eventually trail my stop to the upside while price is delivering. So I will see. I will see how price reacts as soon as we get into this 15-minute fair value gap. I will just see how price will react, and then eventually decide if I want to cut the full trade, or if I want to trail my stop to the upside with price. So far, we already took these highs here, so it is permissible for price to do some kind of a retrace to this order block here the price has on the 1 minute. So this is a bullish order block. But since price is kind of volatile and doing a nice run to the upside, we will probably not see price coming down here before it takes some measure of liquidity here. I will, yeah, was not was not quite fast enough to move my take profit. So the trade is closed here. Should have been a bit faster to move my stop higher, but I'm content with the trade, honestly. Yeah, this was a nice run to the upside and a quick one. These are the types of trades that you need to be aware of and to need to search for. Looking at it, I'm still waiting for London highs here. This is just a low hanging fruit. After taking buy side liquidity, I'm expecting a retrace and eventually a comeback to the upside. But yeah, this was a nice run to the upside. A quick trade here. If we measure all this leg here, we can see that probably the movement is still in the beginning. So there is a lot of confluence. Look at -1 is midnight open. -2.5, it's in the middle of the daily fair value gap. So I believe that we will still go to the upside. But for now, price will eventually do some kind of a retrace, especially as soon as we hit 0.05 standard deviation here. Another push to the upside. Yeah, taking out buy side liquidity is relative equal highs and the 4-hour candle high. I believe that NQ did not take that high already or yet. I mean, yeah, it didn't take that high, but I believe it will do soon. So yeah, it has some room to the upside still. Yeah, once again, 950 macro happening. And where's your entry? Right at 950 macro. So logically, this movement should be stretched until the next macro, which is the 1010. I mean 1050 to 1110. So we still have some room to go to the upside. It was kind of a shame that I didn't move my take profit quick enough to take it out of where it was. My position just got closed. but I assume that we still have about maybe 30 minutes of this leg to the upside. So eventually price will try to form some kind of, or to gain some kind of support here, because this is a 15-minute fair value gap, and eventually price will work on its inversion, and then we will have another leg to the upside eventually until midnight open or London highs. Yeah, price stopped right at the top of the bearish valley gap. Just taking its time to eventually invert it. Let's see if we can have another run to the upside. We still have some bullish for valley gaps here. They can eventually be retested, but I believe we will do another leg to the upside, since we had a clean inversion of the 15-minute fair value gap, and price didn't even came to the midpoint of it. Pricing is taking some time here. It's 10:30, so we still have 20 minutes until the macro. I don't believe we will have a kind of a inversion, an inversion. I don't believe that. I believe that we will still grind to the upside, eventually taking midnight open. And at this point, I would eventually look for some kind of a retrace on the 3 minutes. So if you did not, if you was not able, you were not able to interact with the market, I would eventually wait for a retrace here on the 3 minute breaker, which would give us a retrace here. Let me just check. Yeah, somewhere near the 50% of it. I don't know if price will eventually come back to this level. Since it's leaving everything open here, which means that price is kind of strong on the upside move. But this region here should be something to consider if you want to expect some kind of a retrace on price. Yeah, another move to the upside. So we'll see if as soon as we touch the 0.5 standard deviation, if price wants to come for the first retrace, or if it wants to continue its way to the upside. Yeah, another leg to the upside here. So at this point, it's quite obvious that price will target London highs. Uh, the only thing that's not so predictable is where to enter if price is uh, almost in a vertical line. That's the main question and the main issue for everybody who's trying to get along in some kind of parabolic moves. Um, well, I would advise you to go at least for the 3 minutes and try to see where it's logical for price to come back. I can see this breaker here. I can see eventually the 3 minute order block here, because this one will be worked out still, I believe. What a nice and clean move that we had today. It's not usual for price to present something that clean, um, especially these last couple of weeks and months. Um, it's not quite usual, but today it gave us something clearer to work with. We just had to to expect something from price and not chasing any type of movement. But yeah, was something clean for once. Well, if you have any questions about my thought process or something else that you want to ask me about, yeah, go ahead. I will try to answer those questions. Just write it down on the chat, and I will interact with it. There we go. As I was telling you, we are still working the the order block on the 3 minutes. So this zigzag to back and forth. It's quite usual and quite normal and acceptable for from price. At this point, you really need to wait and to see if price really wants to go for a lower retrace. I would not advise you to to buy somewhere near where price is, um, especially after taking some measure of buy side liquidity. I would advise you to wait. Well, meanwhile, NQ already took the 4 hour high, the previous 4 hour high, so it is quite acceptable for price to do some kind of a retrace. But since we are holding here and we have event horizon as well here, we can eventually stay here for a bit more do some kind of time distortion, enticing some short sellers, and then uh, after a quick and energetic move to the downside, we eventually come back to the upside and grind once again. So this can eventually happen as well. But yeah, price just stopped here. I'm glad I took the full position here because I tend to end trading sessions right at in between 11. So I would be here for 30 minutes without any increment on my balance, just wasting mental capital and taking out a full position. I think I saved a lot of mental capital. That's why I try to not hold trades um, after 11 because they tend to use to deal a lot of and to use a lot of mental capital. Well, another push here from ES, but price really stalled a bit here, right beneath the zero point 0.5 standard deviation. We are 4 minutes before 10:50, so I presume that we eventually will continue to the upside until midnight open. price really uh, did not do the retrace that everybody would like to see. Or eventually 1050 would give us some kind of reversal because there's a lot of liquidity here already. So we can eventually expect that as well. But I would, if I would have to guess, I think that the continuation to the upside would be um, more probable, since the main draw is as well the London high. I'm a bit suspicious about this fair value gap here. Let me just see if it holds or if it gets inverted. Because if it gets inverted right at 1050, it would eventually give us a retrace to the downside. Because as you see here, this is quite a pattern as well. So 1, 2, 3. It's the 3 drives pattern. It's usually when it presents itself like this, it's it's like a bearish pattern. There we go. We are inverting. So I said liquidity is taken as relative equal highs. And for those who want to play the retest, the retrace, I would do something like this until the 3-minute order block would be acceptable. Something like this. But I'm not playing this because my main bias is still bullish. I still believe that we will go for London high, and this would be only a scalping short, not a position that I would like to hold for a long time or eventually 1 hour. I don't believe that we will go down for the next hour. Um, but yes, I still believe that we will eventually come and take out this liquidity here and eventually try to rebalance what is imbalanced. See, that's why I did not engage with this type of setup. The price will eventually come a little bit lower, but it will be like one candle low, two to the upside. It's not the type of environment that you want to be exposed. Um, you shall be exposed to something where price is drawn to. So if price is drawn to the upside, you should get involved with something that will eventually seek for an upside move. Um, the price stopped right here. It's 11, so I'm not expecting eventually price to continue um, higher like it did here. Um, it needs to create some more liquidity. It needs to create some more zigzag, and then eventually an explosion to the downside, followed by an inversion to the upside. Um, this is what I would like to see on price before um, eventually trying to do something bullish right now. So it's 11. I'm not expecting it to happen right now. Probably it will need some more time, some more liquidity. I'm also expecting a retrace to the downside, eventually seeking for the 3-minute order block, which has some confluence with 50% of this leg. There we go. See, but if price does not um, come here, I would say that you would eventually take something that is a low probability to the upside, since no liquidity was grabbed here so far. So everybody who's been shorting or trying to short, I think that we need to entice more players to short. I think that we will need to respect this as an inverted for value gap, start to do another low, and eventually then price will invert to the upside. So it would be interesting to see something like this, taking out these lows right here, taking out this, eventually coming down a little bit more, and then push to the upside, another push to the upside, and then this. Otherwise, I would not recommend you to try to get long right now. You should wait a bit for some more liquidity to be formed and pushed. So let me just check the stream here. So we are streaming for about 1 hour and 40 minutes. I will not interact with price anymore today, so eventually we can end the stream in a couple of minutes. I'm just curious to see if price really wants to continue higher. I don't believe that, honestly. But let's see. Let me just see if price will take the 15-minute candle high on ES or eventually on NQ, and see what type of reaction um, that we have as soon as it takes out that high. There we go. Prices trying to retest once again this area here. So we'll go for the 15-minute high. And as soon as it touches it, I would like to see what price really wants to do. And as I was telling you guys yesterday, 11 o'clock, it's that time in the morning where usually everything stops. The action, the price usually presents after 9:30, just ends at 11. Traders who have been playing the market since 9:30 will eventually close their positions on a pre-lunch um, environment. So 11 o'clock, it's the time in the morning where it should be perfect to close their positions. I could eventually stretch my last take profit to could have stretched my take profit, my last one, until 10:50, because usually when a move starts at 9:50, it usually goes until 10:50. But even if I had left my TP opened, I would have gone for more. I don't know, 5 handles, probably 5 handles. So that's not a big of a deal, honestly. Um, Everything went into place. The narrative went into place as well. We were expecting lower movement from market as soon as it opened. Um, it didn't came in the first place. It didn't came in the first place. The first place was to take out these intermediate term highs here, but then we got this violent move to the downside, not taking out Friday's low. I was expecting Friday's low, but as soon as I saw that NQ took it, and we had some kind of an SMT with NQ, I knew that this inversion that happened here was a clean inversion and would take us to eventually buy side liquidity here. And yeah, it really happened. So I took a partial right here, right before these highs, the first highs, and then left the runner do its thing and go to the ultimate target that I had for this New York AM session. So as I was telling you some minutes ago, as you can see, when price really starts to do something like this, you have to be really cautious. This is some type of a pattern here. It's the three taps pattern where price taps 3 times, and it can eventually go for a fourth one, but it'll usually are 3 taps, and the fourth one price really struggles to do the fourth one, but usually it can. So does something like this. This places to the downside, taking out the liquidity generated down here, and eventually we can go a little bit lower. But what we expect with this move is not the move to the downside itself, but it's the inversion that it will give us to explore the rest of the liquidity that was left behind here. So price really has to break this before you interact with something. And usually, if you are expecting higher prices, you should expect a break to the downside and not a break to the upside. If if this is broken to the upside first, uh, with all this liquidity down here, you need to be you need to know that you will probably face something like this. Yeah, usually it happens. So with this said, I think I will have my final thoughts here on price action for today's action. Um, we are still inside this range, so there's nothing I can do here as well. And well, this is just barcode price action, so nothing that we can really do here. Well, and with this said, we are almost 2 hours in the stream, so I will take this as finished for today. I will end the stream. There's nothing we can do with this barcode action here, just speculating, um, which will give us nothing. So at this point, I will end the stream. I hope to see you tomorrow once again. Thank you once again for being here. If you're not following the channel, just hit the follow button, the subscribe button, and hope to see you tomorrow and the next couple of days as well. I will try to be here every day and streaming mainly ES at the 9:30 New York local time open. So yeah, that's it for today. This is a wrap. So thank you very much and hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. See you.